cozy. Feet up above your sins. I love myself, goddamn cozy. Cozy.
What up, y'all? Happy Thursday. It is another week with She Evolves, and this is Ivy Nicole, y'all. If you're tuned in, make sure you go check me out across all social media platforms. You can just go to ivynicole.com and you can find me everywhere. It's IvyNichole. Y'all don't forget the H in my middle name and ain't no E in my first. So, again, y'all make sure y'all check me out across all social media platforms. I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And man, I be so happy when this platform allows us to go live on Instagram. Not yet. Okay, maybe one day, but not today. But I'm not gonna keep talking about that. So today we're actually gonna get into a very special conversation. And I am one to admit that I am one to stay in my own lane, and I am the first to admit when it's something I don't know. And y'all about to be educated along with me. So today I have a very special person on the other side of my screen. What up?
Hello.
How are you? Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm okay. Managing. How are you?
I'm great. So it is a standard rule that we kind of get all into your business a little bit, right? So tell people who you are, where you're from. All
Okay,
that.
well, I'm here for it. Well, I'm Dee Dore. I am from Detroit. I'm an intersectional activist here in the city. I specialize mainly in Black non-men, and specifically the LGBTQ community. I've been doing this for a few years, about 4 or so years. Yeah, or more.
Okay.
So yeah, this is what I love doing, and I'm excited I got to link with you through doing what I do best.
Sweet, sweet. Good. So we are actually going to get into this conversation, y'all. We are actually going to talk about the LGBTQ plus community, what that looks like. We're going to actually go into defining what this is, and using how to use the proper terminologies and pronouns as you address individuals. So, what are your pronouns, Dee?
My pronouns are they, them. I used to use she, her. I use she, her interchangeably depending on who I'm talking to.
Mhm.
Um, but mainly they, them.
Okay, so earlier you said intersexual. What does that mean?
Intersectional stands for uh, basically Black non-men who may have different intersections in their life. Like, for instance, mine's are I'm queer, I'm fat, I'm dark skinned, and I live in the hood. So, with intersectional activism, you fight for people that fit in those intersections, that mainly get forgotten about, or not talking about in major movements, usually. Um, so, yeah, that's intersectional.
Okay, so another question I have for you because I'm really trying to understand. Um, so you said that your pronouns you prefer are them, and they, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
why is it that sometimes you would use she or her depending on who
Um,
you're talking to? What does that
if
determine?
mhm. If I'm talking to an older person, that I know for a fact, I think for time's sake, I'm gonna have to explain this. I just use she, her. Um, or if I'm around people that I've known for a really, really long time, I use they, them, she, her interchangeably. But if I'm like in my organizing circles, if I'm just, meeting people that I know have an understanding about what non-binary is and how to use the proper pronouns, I definitely use they, them.
Can we get into the definition of the non-binary?
So non-binary is someone that it has different meanings for different people. Some people can feel both female and male. Some people feel neither. Some are interchangeably male and female. So I am neither. My whole life I've never felt as though I was fully female, never felt as though I had any masculine tendencies, even though sometimes I would present as masculine. I never identified as masculine. I just felt like I was in between. So while going on my journey to self-discovery, I found that was about the most specific way I can explain how I feel about my gender. So, yeah.
And you had to talk about this journey. At what age did your journey begin?
Oof. My journey started late. Believe it or not, me being non-binary has been within the past 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Because I had to do a lot of research, and with me being in the queer community, I met other non-binary people, which, when I heard some of my friends explain how they feel about their gender, I'm like, wait a minute, it's a word for that? So I'm like, cool. So I just started doing all the research, and I'm like, yep, that's me. And I just came out to my social media first, and then I start like talking to family members about it, how to properly address me, what my gender entails. So now that I'm educated, I am now educating others on it, and it's kind of a powerful thing, and I'm so excited about that.
That's cool. How do people react?
Oh geez. I got a mixed bag, to be honest. I got from some family, especially older people, they didn't really understand. They were like, I don't know what that is. Just gonna call you a girl because you a girl, you look like a girl, so you's a girl. There's a few of my friends that was like, yeah, I kind of knew, like you were giving the vibes. And I had some people who just was like, that's weird, I'm not messing with it.
Okay.
But like, I love you, that's just, I don't understand it, I don't want to understand it, whatever.
Was this your family or social media? And why did you do social media first before you went to your family and friends?
Because, well, mainly for me, I don't know why they had that reaction, but I was shocked. I got it. These was from some family. Not too many friends. I had like a few that was like, that's weird. That really doesn't, they're not too educated on the LGBTQ community. So once I was like, hey, I'm trying to give you an opportunity to learn, these are some tools that I use to learn about it. Maybe you can use these too. Some of them came around and was like, all right, cool, I get it. But then there are some was like, I still don't understand, like what? But I came out on social media first because it was better to cover, it was really exhausting to have several different conversations with people. So on social media, I was like, dang, this covers friends, families, and everything in between. Okay. So everybody gonna find out at the same time.
Okay, and how did you do it?
I made a
Oh,
post.
did you do it live? Did you do a video? How did you come
Oh, I
out?
just wrote out a status. I was like, hey, everybody, in case there's some people that couldn't figure it out, I'm non-binary. This is what this entails. And I pretty much went into about how I've always felt that way, like even when I was a kid. But, being a 90s baby, we had no, education on that. Maybe we had, people like Grace Jones or David Bowie and other people who
Right.
were gender benders, but not exclusively non-binary. So, I mean, I just explained to them, once I started getting that representation, I started educating myself and saw myself, in this in this space. So that's that. And the reception was pretty good. Tons of support, absolutely tons of support. More support than non-support, really.
Okay.
Mhm.
So can we actually, for the people that's watching, break down what the LGBTQ community is?
Yeah. So you have the LGBTQ community, or as is used by people that's in the community, queer. You have lesbians, that's women who date women. You have bisexuals, that's people who date, the men or the women.
Mm-hmm.
You have gays, which are usually gay males. Trans, who are people that are transgender, which now that it's more broad than just trans. We have a trans umbrella, which is now non-binary, um, uh, non-binary, and like two-spirit, which is more so, I believe, indigenous. So you have a trans umbrella that falls under trans. Um, yeah, the Q is for queer. Queer is kind of a switch up. You have some people that identify as queer that don't really know for sure who they are, but they know that they're different and they're in the LGBTQ community.
What is queer actually? Like, what is it? A gender
Mhm.
or is it sexuality?
Honestly, it could be both.
Okay.
Because you have I really use queer for people uh, who don't technically know the name for what they are, because they might fit 1 to 2 or 3 different boxes, or they might not necessarily fit this box. So queer is more of a generalized, cohesive term,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's for queer. That can go for gender or sexuality.
Okay. So gender and sexuality are sometimes in separate boxes, right? They're not always within the same boxes. And I think that's a myth and a stereotype, um, that people often, misinterpret, is if you're queer, then you like the same sex, or I mean, it's just the whole stereotype. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Um, so there's literally, well, we can really get into some of the stereotypes that uh a lot of, especially Black LGBTQ people and queer people deal with. Also, if you hear squeaking, my dog is playing with her ball. And it's making her really happy, apparently. My apologies. So basically, with that, we have gender, which is what you identify as. Like, you could be born as something, like I was born female. That's your sex. But your gender is what you see yourself as and what you identify as. Like, that could be trans, that could be non-binary, that could be several different things. And also, going on with that, we have a common stereotype that they're both tied in the same. Like trans is automatically gay, which that's not true at all. You have some trans people that date, you know, the gender, the opposite gender or sex. You got some that date the same. You got some that are a different, that date anyone, pretty much. So yeah, it's a lot. We have like the bisexuals where people usually try to name that as mainly women. Like it's a woman only thing, or if it's a dude, they're automatically gay. Or they're sus. It's sadly, a lot of our community puts it. They automatically tie black bi men as sus and they want to be gay. They're confused. Not true. So we have to start working on doing the education, such as joining different movements and talks like this, to educate people on, how to differentiate the two and how to not harm people in the process. My bad. But yeah, that's
so you just actually hit on something that I was actually going to go into. Your movements, you have several movements going on right now. Because your main thing is what Black women and queers, right? Are they one and the same or are they separate?
It's separate. Because you have some Black women that are not queer that, date opposite people. And then you do have Black women that are queer. So it's definitely a separate fight, but I also kind of tie it together in a way, just to make sure that no one gets left out. I usually try to tie everyone together so no one is forgotten. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So let's talk about some of your movements that you have started and your journey to this.
Okay. I did a Breonna Taylor march pretty soon after she was murdered. I did a Priscilla Slater rally. That was a Black woman from Michigan. She died in a Harper Woods jail cell, and they immediately blamed it on her, and no cops were ever held accountable. I stood up for a lot of Black trans women who have been murdered. I mainly use my platform to talk about them, to make sure that their names aren't forgotten, that people know what happened to them, that we just don't brush it underneath the rug. Several other Black women who have been murdered. And right now, Brittany Griner. That's my main focus besides the LGBTQ community. I mean, it goes in the same, but I'm definitely trying to make this a movement in Detroit, just because I'm not seeing too much support for her here in the city. I mean, I'm sure that people do support her, but I haven't seen too many rallies or seminars or anything talking about how to bring her home or what can we do to bring her home. Yep.
Okay, so why did you start this one in particular?
Well, I mean, I'm not a sports fan, but I always kind of followed in with Brittany Griner, especially after the Breonna Taylor murder, where she was like super open, wore her on her jersey, always had the Black Power fist talking about her. She was down. So I tried to keep up with her a little. And once I found out that she was jailed, I immediately was like, okay, what can I do? I'm like, this is a Black queer woman, and we know Russia does not have the best track record when it comes to Black folks or queer folks. God forbid if they're the same. So I've been really, I tried to like organize different events, several talks. I have several friends trying to talk to legislators about how to bring her home. Um, so that's how that got started. And I basically decided I'm not going to stop until she's brought home, no matter how long that takes.
Okay. So how have that been so far? Just the movement with the Brittany Griner movement.
To be perfectly honest, it's frustrating because it's like on social media, it seems like a lot of people care. But then it's like when it comes down to do the work, good luck. Like, good luck trying to find that traction in that community that'll help. And I mean, I definitely did find my tribe with trying to bring her home and bring forth the story of her being jailed. But it has been really frustrating. Just like even from when me and you did the rally not too
Mm-hmm.
long ago. You seen how people were reacting just when I was telling them come on and join us. I mean, oh, leave her in jail, calling her slurs, saying really stupid stuff. And like it's frustrating because you would expect people to care because that's a sister. And she's such a figure and she goes to bat for us. But it's just massage noir as always.
Okay. So
Mhm.
what do you think that you would need to make this movement bigger than what it is?
I need traction. I just need just people to share if I like post anything about her. They can even make their own posts. Just make sure her name doesn't die at all. Call in legislators. We could do call campaigns, which I'm thinking about doing as well. Call in your legislators to drill it into their heads that she needs to be brought home. Um, just and help as far as like organizing different events. Um, yeah, pretty much those are the major things that I need at the moment.
Okay, so if people wanted to share from your page, how would they do that? What is your social media?
Okay, so my main page is Diamond Dore Woods. Diamond is regular spelling. Dore is it's spelled here, and Woods traditional spelling Woods. You can follow me. I have a few friend requests available. Well, spaces available for friend requests.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you're like serious about it, you can add me and we can have conversations. I have a Instagram. It is Dore the Cat Lady. Nope, Safe Camp D. I remember I just switched back to my other one.
Okay.
Safe Camp SafeCampDee. And Twitter, I believe it's the same, Safe Camp D.
Okay. What about TikTok? Have you been on TikTok yet?
I do use TikTok, but I am an elder. So so
Okay.
I you feel me? So I have used TikTok in the past, but I haven't used it as of recently. But I do have a TikTok and I will be building that platform up. That is, I believe it's Safe Camp Dore as well. Yep, Safe Camp Dore.
Do you have a website or an email that people can contact you?
I do have an email. It's diamonddorewoods@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yep, so you can email me and I'll get right back to you.
So is your page open?
Mm-hmm.
It's
It should.
open, so even if people wanted to share from your page, from your Facebook page, and they're not your friend, they can still go on and share, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So even
Everything's public.
if she hit that 5,000 mark, y'all, and you can't be her friend, you can still go on there, you can support, and you can share stuff, and you can still slide into her DMs if
That's
you
right.
right. So you
Her.
open people slide into your DMs.
That's right.
All
Just
right,
hit me
that's
up. Hit my
serious.
line.
Don't slide in if you on some BS, right?
Yeah, please don't. Just I
No
have no time for weird. I'm already weird enough as it is, so I'm good on that.
time for weird, right? So we are
Right.
actually like literally really trying to take care of business. just kind
Mhm.
of spread knowledge, spread understanding about what's going on in the LGBTQ community.
Mhm.
Because again, this community is often stereotyped.
That's
Um,
right.
it's misunderstood. It's just a lot of bullshit that goes into it. And just like our conversation last night we were having,
Yeah.
um, we had this conversation on domestic violence.
Mhm.
And you said that, people perceive it as just two bitches fighting.
Yep.
And it's
And
not
that's
taken serious.
at all. I literally just had this conversation today with my cousin. I was trying to explain to her that queer people, when we fight, people think it's funny. Just like how I told you last night. People think it's funny if gay dudes fight because they think it's like stereotypical windmilling and hair pulling and oh you bitch. So like that's what they think. And they think with gay women that it's just two girls fighting and it's nothing to it. It's not domestic violence. It is. Like I have seen people get put in the ground. Like it's real. Like gay and lesbian violence can kill just as regular as straight violence. It does not discriminate. So it's harmful because it kind of erases those domestic violence stories that we need in our community. Because right now, if you go on TikTok, you see all these videos of like people making fun of lesbians fighting and like people making fun of gay dudes fighting that's in a relationship. And me myself personally, I just got out of that. And so that definitely could have took my life. And this person has a past of trying to kill people. So I am lucky that I got away with my life. So it definitely wasn't two girls just scrapping. I'm sure that the coroner and law enforcement wouldn't have looked at it that way either. Um, if that sadly would have happened. Um, so I think we need to start having these conversations about how to change that mindset when it comes to that because it's harmful. It can literally kill. Yeah.
Is it the domestic violence or is it just everything overall?
Honestly, everything. Um, Getting kind of off topic, it's lesbians get it the worst to me besides trans women because it's like we can be raped if we're masculine because men are attracted to masculine lesbians and men think it's hot when we fight our girlfriends. They don't take it seriously. They're like, oh, I got into a fight with my girl too. Whatever. Like, at least you two are two girls. What damage can you do? And sorry, someone's driving a motorcycle. But yeah, like it can still do some pretty harmful damage. And also the same with violence against trans women, violence against lesbians. It's crazy just because of these harmful stereotypes that people hold of us. It's put a lot of us in the ground and put a lot of us in the hospital, sadly.
Yeah. So you said something, just just how the LGBTQ community is being attacked, right? You're
Hmm.
being killed, you're being raped, you're being beat,
Hmm.
right? And no one is really paying attention to this.
Nope. Nope. It's a shame, like, especially with Black trans women. Like, even though I'm an advocate, half the deaths that have occurred with Black trans women, I wouldn't have known without the Human Rights Campaign. And without my good friend messaging me, telling me when a Black trans woman has died. Because you don't see it in the news. You
Is
don't.
that like here in Detroit?
Hmm. Mainly here in Detroit, but honestly, all over America too.
Okay. So
Um,
I
mhm,
want to be able to like fully understand. So the the trans woman that
mhm.
what is the sex of the trans woman? Male,
Trans women, yep, they were born a
like,
male.
and okay,
Yep.
okay,
And a trans male, vice versa.
okay, all right, got you.
Yep.
So these women are being killed.
Yeah. Black trans women only have the life expectancy of 35 years old, if that.
Mm.
So I have lost count how many black trans women died last year alone. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the hundreds. Um,
In the hundreds.
the hundreds.
No one is talking about this. No one cares.
You have certain organizations that are doing the work to make sure the black trans women aren't forgotten. Again, like the Human Rights Campaign, they have a website that they update, I think daily. If a trans woman dies every day, they update it as soon as they get the information. And they do pictures if it's available, what happened, even though it might be graphic. Um, yeah, and you have different organizations too that cater to trying to educate people on what's going on with our sisters. But a lot of people just don't care. A lot of people think it's just boys doing drag, or oh, that person was probably doing sex work, which in actuality, it doesn't matter if that person is doing sex work. Their life still matters, and they shouldn't be murdered just for going to work.
Wow. Are these women
So,
targeted because
yeah,
they're trans?
yes, yes. A lot, granted, I can't say a lot, but a nice amount of black trans women who have died were sex workers, and they were mainly killed by their johns. Um, and because especially there was one instance here with the black trans woman. She was an advocate, and God forgive me for not remembering her name. She was an advocate, a huge advocate here in the city. And she was also a sex worker. And one of her clients was a pastor. They did what they did.
Okay.
You remember that? Yeah.
I forgot her
And
name.
and me too. And like he killed her and threw her out on the side of the road. And so that was on the news. But like you have different situations like that where men are ashamed of having sex with trans women, and they try to kill them to try to alleviate that guilt for some reason. As if being with a trans woman is something that you need to be guilty with. They're women.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of it is due to fear, because a lot of them are attracted to trans women and they're angry that they're attracted to trans women, and they kill them. A lot of it is just pure ignorance, like, oh, that's a dude, and they commit that act of violence against them. So it's several different reasons behind the mentality of why these men do these things. But it's all sad. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do some or most trans women go through the sex change operation,
No.
or
No. Um, Honestly, every trans person experiences their transness differently.
okay,
Um, you have some trans women that have body dysmorphia, which is a condition where you see yourself as disfigured, or there's something wrong with you, or you constantly see yourself no matter what you do as a man until you get gender affirming surgery. But you have some people who are comfortable with their features and comfortable still keeping their sex organs.
okay,
Just because a lot of people feel as though they don't need to go through the transition completely just to validate their transness. They're trans no matter what.
okay.
But,
Because
mhm.
it's a gender thing, right? And not a
Yep,
sex, right? So the gender is how you feel.
yep. And the sex is how you present, basically.
Your sex is how you present.
In a way, because some people are, well, not present, excuse me. The sex is what you are born as. My apologies. I've been up
Okay.
since 3 a.m. So, but yeah, so the sex is what you were born as. And a lot of people, like I said, have that dysmorphia. I personally have that dysmorphia, just because I see myself with my boobs. They're visible, they're there, you can't hide it. And, they've been there since I was 8. And I've always been like, what if it was nothing there? You know? And I just went through life thinking, okay, I'm just tired of having boobs. I didn't know that that was a level to me being technically trans. And that was me having body dysmorphia. It's like even down to my facial features. I wish I had different facial features, or I wish my voice was like semi-different. So yeah, some people have that dysmorphia, but then again, you have some, like some of my friends, where they're like, I'm that bitch. I don't need that. Like, it's whatever to me. Yeah.
So let's go a little more into your body dysmorphia.
Hmm. Okay.
You want to start? It's fine.
Okay. So yeah, I pretty much have always had body dysmorphia, like I said, since I was a kid. I just got tired of having boobs. I had boobs again since I was 8 years old, and they've always been just stupid huge. And so, like, I got tired of being teased for that. And then I'm like, maybe my life would be easier without having them. And like, maybe if I get a reduction, maybe if I just get a complete mastectomy, not mastectomy, top surgery, where they just take all the fat out and leave you flat. So I always thought that way, like from a very early age. And then it started from there to me, because I used to be really, really, really skinny, like 80, probably 80 pounds, like really tiny with these stupid huge knockers. And I'm like, man, and I'm like, this isn't it. I'm like, I kind of want to gain a little weight. Then the weight gain came, and it came rapidly. And I just became the biggest girl in the class. And that spiraled because I ended up having internalized fat phobia, which I'm still working through, thank God. I'm all right with being fluffy. So that's not an issue now. But it was an issue coming up, like for my family. Like my grandma used to make jokes, like she'll come behind me and grab my rolls and count them and poke them, and like that, and being called barrel body, or like just getting different things like that. Like, and I knew they didn't mean it from like a rude place, but I didn't have the capacity and the capacity and like the energy basically to have those conversations with them, like, hey, this is kind of harmful. And really, I didn't know how to say it without being mean, and I didn't want to disrespect my family.
Right.
So instead of saying, hey, back up off my shit, my grandma would smack the hell out of me. So I just ended up just internalizing that and eating and eating and eating until I got up to 201 pounds, which made everything a lot worse, to be honest, because I ended up having body issues, which that didn't help either. So it's a lot. And to this day, I'm still working through seeing myself in the mirror and being like, okay, I'm all right with, looking like this. like this is my face, this is my body. I mean, whatever, I got to deal with it. I'm still trying to navigate that. Thank God for therapy, because that has helped a lot with me working through it and navigating it. Yeah. So it's kind of helping with personal internalized issues like we talked about a minute ago. So yeah, I just highly suggest that if anyone does have body dysmorphia, please do get therapy. Like, how you feel is valid. Can't nobody tell you how to feel but you. Because you feel how you feel on a daily basis. And it's valid. But therapy will help in the long run for sure.
So exactly, what does therapy do for body dysmorphia?
Um, well, my therapist made me change the whole way that I looked at, for instance, me being fat. Like, okay, is it harmful for your health? And I'm like, well, I had diabetes. She's like, had. Do you have it now? At the time, I'm like, no. She was like, okay. She's like, you're fat. You're healthy. I mean,
Okay.
your body hurts. That's great. But you said you were still in pain when you were skinny. That's not going to make a difference any way it goes. So she's like, when you stand in the mirror, look at your body. And she just gave me different exercises to do to try to make me get used to seeing myself and not saying negative words. Whenever a negative word pops up in your head, replace it with a positive. Like, okay, I hate this, but I like this. Or I wish I could change this. Can't do anything about that, but this is pretty cool. So therapy changes your complete scope and how you see yourself and how you deal with that, and how you internalize it too. It helps you unpack a lot. If you're chubby, it helps you unpack your fat phobia. If you have a therapist that knows how to deal with fat bodies, because a lot of therapists don't.
Okay.
Um, if you have a gender issue, um, you can get a gender affirming doctor that'll help you, see your changes if you're on uh, hormones or T. Be like, hey, your voice is getting a little deeper, right? Like, oh, hey,
Right.
like this is coming in. So therapy is vital to if you are transitioning and even if you're not. It just helps you go on your journey and not question yourself as much and being comfortable with who you are.
Okay. So in the beginning, how comfortable were you?
Not at all, like 0.00. so it was really uncomfortable even trying to talk to her at first, which sounds stupid because that's your therapist, but
Mhm.
like it was uncomfortable trying to talk to her and tell her exactly what my body how I feel about my body, because I'm thinking like, damn, I'm an advocate for fat people and here I am hating my body because I'm fat. Like that don't even make sense to me. And I also had that guilt. And
Okay.
so it was rough at first, but a few sessions in, I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I could talk to her about anything.
It is, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we
Hmm.
are almost, I would say we have like maybe like another 15 minutes. Y'all, if you are just in, make sure you go hit that subscribe button. I am live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, y'all. So just
Yes.
go to ivynicole.com and hit me up. Make sure you follow me across all social media platforms. I don't tweet. I need to. I need to start tweeting, but oh, this is kind of horrible, right? I need to get my
get
life
in,
in order. I
get
need to be.
into the Twitters.
I know, right? It's bad, right? So that's something I need to work on, y'all. But if you're just tuning in, tapping in, whatever it is you want to call it, we are talking all things LGBTQ with D, who identify as them and they. Sometimes she, depending on who you're talking to, because you don't want to go into all of that. So if you confused, just watch the video all over again, or you can slide into her DMs. But don't be creepy about it. Be
Yeah.
respectful
Don't be on the weird shit. We good. Just don't be weird.
about it. Don't be weird at all. You know. So as we get ready to close soon, I just kind of want to get into the sexuality because we did talk about the gender aspect of what the LGBTQ community represent. Um,
Mhm.
What about sexuality? Because we did kind of talk about that a little earlier,
Mhm.
just the stereotypes and the myths of sexual preference.
That's
Um,
right.
Yeah. So would you mind sharing like your stance on that?
Um, who child? How much time we got?
Don't tell me you won't.
Oof. Like basically, I have strong feelings because I grew up in the hood, like Joy Road.
Okay.
So I grew up seeing maybe two lesbians over here, visible like mask lesbians. So just walking down the street, you don't see no one that looks like you. Then you have the men that think they're entitled to your bodies, no matter what you're attracted to. So they'll threaten you with rape. They'll just say, "Oh, it's nothing, that a good it could change, and stuff like that." When you're just trying to go to the beauty supply store to get some hair glue. So, like, and then you have to worry about, damn, am I gonna get raped? And then being gay. I'm not a gay male, so I can't speak to that, but I can express how some of my friends feels with them being like growing up being visibly gay, like femme queens, which are boys that are feminine presenting, like with their talks and the way they dress and things.
So
Um,
films are boys.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, with the gay boys, you have
Okay.
femme queens, you got butches, um, yeah. So the butches are like the manly mans, or yeah. So you have different levels of and different identities of being gay. But mainly with the femme queens, they definitely have it hard. Like if you don't know how to fight, or if people think you don't know how to fight, they'll try you. Like you definitely get those stares. You definitely get those, you definitely get those people that try you. Um, and then from what some of my friends experienced, you do have the DL men, which is down low, the straight men, the men that present as straight, but they still have a attraction to gay men. Um, that's crazy because some DL men are married, some just are not comfortable coming out whatsoever. So
Is
they
it
have
bisexual
we
or
call them they don't I some DL men don't identify as that. So
okay.
they identify as straight, even though they have an attraction to men.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they don't want nobody to know. They're like ashamed for some reason of that part of themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of DL men do, they try to commit acts of violence against gay boys because they can't be as open as they are. Um, so they'll try to be like, try to hit them or try to say something violent, and then 2 seconds later ask for their phone number or slide them their phone number. Shoot, I've been with friends and it's happened. Like where they whispered, the slur like fag, and then they're like, "Okay, why are you in my pocket?" And the dude slipping the phone number.
Okay.
So yeah, and they're just like, "Call me. What's up? I'm down for whatever." And they're like, "Didn't you just call me a fag? Like I'm not gonna call you. No, thank you. I'm not your little trend or whatever." Um, but you do have bisexual men who are attracted to men and women. Um, so bisexual men in the black community, child, they get it. They get it. They get it from the women because the women are like, "Oh, if you're attracted to a man or have sex with a man, you just gay. And I don't want no gay man. Like, what can you do for me?"
Mm.
And then you had a dude who's like, "No, that's just gay, bro. Like, I'm not doing that." And you know, or if they are into them, they're like, "Oh, you're confused and you don't know what you want." Um, so
Mm.
that's harmful too, because it's like a lot of bi people are like, "Damn, who can I date?" It's like this person don't want me because of this person don't want me because of that. Like they just throwing all this stuff out. I don't know what to do. Um, the bi girls definitely get it bad in the lesbian community. Because it's the same exact thing. Like, oh, you don't know what you want, you're confused, you're not really gay. Oh, if you can sleep with a man, I don't want nothing to do with you. So that's harmful. Then you do have pansexual, which pansexual is people that are attracted to all genders, like non-binary, like all the things that bisexual leaves out. So a lot of my friends are that, and thank God for them, because to be honest, a few years ago, I didn't know what that was. I really didn't.
So pansexual is you just
Everyone,
everybody. Okay.
everybody. So yeah, like you ain't leaving nobody out, because a lot of bisexual, I can't say a lot, some bisexual people have an issue with dating trans folk because they feel as though they're not getting the real deal. Um, Lesbians have the black lesbian community has a huge issue with being respectful to trans women. So they won't even date trans women. And if you're a lesbian that dates trans women, they try to discount your gayness. Yeah.
Okay.
They're like, oh, well, you know, you're messing with someone that has a penis. You're not a lesbian. So yeah, they try to discount it that way, which if someone identifies as a woman, they're a freaking woman. It's not that hard. So trying to educate the lesbian community, and that goes for whatever age demographic. It's some younger baby lesbians, as we call them, which are like
baby lesbians.
Baby lesbians are like 25 and under. And then you got like the aunties, which are about 40, 50 plus. Which they could either be the stud auntie or the auntie that, has the roommate that has been coming to Thanksgiving for so many years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or you just got some in between. They just identify as whatever, like physically. But yeah, as far as like that, it's crazy trying to date while queer and black, which I've seen a lot of really happy, successful black love stories, which makes my heart happy. But a lot of it is just because no one wants to do the education because they feel as though it's not important. Like, okay, am I getting paid for that? Like, what's it doing for me? So they don't want to take that time out to like research, okay, is this harmful? How does this affect this person? How do I address this person? Because they feel as though it's a waste of time. But if you're going to be in the community, even if you're not, even if you have someone in your family, friends, coworkers, anyone that you encounter, it's important to educate yourself because this is stuff that we need to know. We don't want our kids growing up like how we grew up, like how our parents grew up. Like, shoot, my mama didn't even know what gay was until she was in high school, which that blew my mind. I'm like, how did you not know? So I don't want, kids growing up in this new generation not knowing. But due to social media, it's easier to get that information, surprisingly, which is awesome. So yeah.
What do you identify as?
I am I'm sorry?
Sexuality.
Oh, I'm a lesbian. Now, I've been an out lesbian for,
Now, what is an out?
Years? An out lesbian, that means that you are open about your sexuality.
Okay.
I came out, I think, 7 years ago, 7-8 years ago or so. I did date boys when I was younger just because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I knew from when I was tiny I was gay. Like I had the Britney Spears poster and that is what I prayed to at night. So and I'm just like, okay, but girls like, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, Usher and B2K, that's what I'm supposed to like. So I'm just gonna fit the part. So I just had all the CDs, t-shirts, all that, start acting like I had crushes on boys. And I'm like, dear God, I don't even like him. Like, he smells like fart. So, but I just did it because I'm like, okay, this girl here got a crush. This girl over here talk about boys. I don't see anyone else talking about girls. So maybe I'm not supposed to be doing that.
Okay.
When I got into like middle school, high school, especially high school, I only came out to like 2 friends, and one of my friends outed me. And I came back from going on a break, and they spray painted Diamond Woods as a fag on the bathroom door. Well, on the bathroom wall. So that was great. And I'm like, okay, I gotta narrow it down to these 2 people, like who outed me. So I had to go through that. But my next high school where I graduated from, no one cared. It was so many queer people. Like so many Latinx and Mexican and all of that. Like tons of queer people. Like a kid from my old school came to this school to out me and was like, oh, she's a lesbian. And they're like, okay, you see that girl over there? She's gay. That boy over there is gay. This girl's over here trans. Like, so we don't do that here. If you do that, we beating you up. So like, for real, like they beat kids for being homophobic in my old school. So it was great. So once I got older, like 20s, I'm like, okay, you know what? This is who I am. I'm like, I can't keep faking it. I'm not going to suppress this anymore. Like, I'm depressed. I'm anxious. Let's just try to shake that. Hey, everyone, I'm a raging homo. So, so it didn't go well with a lot of people. My grandma definitely didn't take it well before she passed.
Right.
Dear God, not at all. My mom, oh God. So she's a Southern Baptist from Alabama. So you can only imagine. Okay. So my mom, she's still dealing with it. She's a minister. So she's gangster, but she's a minister. So she's trying to like navigate like, dang, my baby really is gay. Like she hasn't brought a boy home in a very long time. Like, geez, she's gay. So she's trying to wrap her mind around it. And the gender identity, whole nother story. That's new. I try to explain it to her, but I don't want to overwhelm her. Okay. Yeah.
You just go with it with mom,
pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yeah. She's like, I don't get it, but okay. That's what's up.
Whatever. All right.
Like, it is what it is, homie. If that's what you is, that's what you is. So literally that's what my mom said. So basically, my sexuality has been crazy trying to navigate, but I'm happy that I'm here. I just love women in all shapes and forms. Like, just I have no type. Just as long as you got common sense, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Yep. That is what's up. So we are actually out of time. So go and drop your info again so people can.
Okay.
DMs.
Y'all, don't be weird. But don't be weird. But you can follow me on Facebook or at me, Diamond Dore Woods on Facebook. I have Safe Camp D on Instagram, Safe Camp DE. And I believe it's Safe Camp D on Twitter too. And I have TikTok. It is Safe Camp Dore. Okay. Which I'm gonna be posting tomorrow. I'm sorry?
When is your next event?
That is to be determined. I am currently trying to plan something for Brittany Griner. And I want to have a Black queer movie night. Okay. So those 2 are in the works. If anyone wants to help plan that, reach out and we could talk about it.
But don't be weird.
Don't be weird. Please, God, don't be weird.
Don't be weird.
For real. We don't do the weird stuff.
So y'all, we are out. Thank you so much, Dee, for joining me. We must have
Mhm.
you back, especially as we continue to just grow this movement and educate the public. I think we talked about so many things today. And I think, especially what really hit me and touched my heart is the fact that trans women are dying,
Yeah,
right? Um, we have to get behind that movement. We have to keep our women safe, keep them
that's
alive.
right.
Um, so this is something, that we have to pay attention to. The news is not talking about it. Social media isn't talking about it. Um, just a random average person, they're not talking about it.
No, they're
No
not.
one cares. It is very disheartening
It's frustrating.
to even hear that, to hear that people are being treated in such a way, no matter what their sexuality is, no matter what their preference is, it doesn't matter, you
Right.
know. Um, no,
Yeah,
these are human beings and human life should not be taken because they don't look the way you do or have the same sexual preference as you do.
that's
Um,
right.
it's unacceptable. And we have to do something as a community about this.
We do.
Um, so again, thank you so much for joining me. People out there, make sure you share this. You tag somebody. You go back, you watch it. You have these conversations in your community, in your home, in your workplace, um, in the grocery store, in the gym, wherever you are. Make sure that you're having these conversations and you're educated on what's going on out here. So again, y'all, this is Ivy the Code, and this is She Evolves. And I guess I'm back on air, so I'll be back next week. What I'm talking about, y'all, I don't know. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you will find out when I find out.
All right now.
Here's what it is, y'all. All right. Good night.
All right. Bye.